So the problem with social media, so there's two big trends that I've seen that's happened. So they have really shifted to where they want two things from us, which is real-time content creation and real-time engagement.
Okay.
So they want us on our phones. They want us creating the content organically from the phone. They don't want us creating it in Photoshop or Canva and posting it. They don't want us scheduling stuff for 2 weeks from now. They don't want any of that, right? Instagram kind of goes back and forth on whether it even allows you to schedule stuff in advance, right? On what tools they allow you to use. And you can see it in the, what would you call it? What was the last big social media craze we had, right? It's Clubhouse. So they went, oh man, all the coaches and consultants were all raving about Clubhouse. It's amazing, amazing, amazing. They get like 7 million downloads of the app in February. Like 2 months later, it's like under 1 million downloads, right? Just fell off.
Yeah, is that still a thing right now?
I don't know. I think for some people,
I'm asking. I chose a no on that one only because
I chose a no too.
Yeah.
Every extrovert I knew, super excited about it. And now even the extroverts I know are kind of like, meh, I stopped spending time there. Sure. But I think the bigger lesson from the rise of Clubhouse is the fact that it was all real time, right? It was like being a virtual networking event. You had to show up, you had to be there, you had to talk, you had to interact. It was all real time. TikTok is the same way. They want it as close to real time as possible. And if you want your content to spread, not only do you have to create the content in real time, then you have to engage and talk to people as much as in real time as possible. So there was a slide that came out years ago that showed how Gary Vee has built his entire daily schedule around when social media posts go out so that he is available and on his phone to personally interact and engage with people when content goes out.
Got it.
Okay. He literally has to build his entire day around when he engages with people on Snapchat. That's not, for most agents that I know, especially like the digital introverts, the people that don't want to share all their private life on social media, they have zero interest in doing that. But they're looking at that going, man, that seems to be like the only option, right?
That drains my battery just listening to it, by the way.
Yes.
Like me having to be available. Like I post on social media often, yet it's on my terms.
Yes.
Right. And so that seems as though if I'm putting myself into a box to say, well, I'm going to have to be available for these segments of time. And I'm not, that doesn't excite me at all.
No, it does not excite me either. But if you want to make social media work for you, that's what you got to do, because that's what the social media companies have decided they want. So essentially their message to all of us is, look, you either become an extrovert or become irrelevant. And I think that's what most introverted agents and team leaders are dealing with. They're looking at the landscape going, man, leads are getting more expensive. They've never been more expensive, and they seem to never get cheaper. They always go up. It's harder than ever to reach people on social media. So that's not really a great option. So it's like, well, what do I do? Do I get everybody back on the phones again? Do I go hard on referral strategy? And everybody has an opinion on what works. And to an extent, all of them are right. But I do think we're getting kind of like, let's say the last 20 years was kind of an aberration in real estate, right? We had between the rise of pay-per-click all the way to Zillow and now to kind of social media. And now I think we're coming back around to the things that have always worked and still work. But social media allows us to kind of softly keep in touch with people without having to pick up the phone and call, which for introverts is great. Sure. Right? We love that. We love that part of social media. So I think if we shift our ideas of putting content out there with the expectation that if we just pump enough content out there, people will reach out and say, hey, let's get together. Like that just doesn't really exist anymore. You've got to be willing, if you're going to do that, you've got to be willing to put the content out there and then turn it into a conversation that turns into a phone call that turns into an appointment. And that's where I think most agents kind of lose the social media battle, is they're not willing to do that in-between step of, like you said, those 500 little small one-to-one conversations throughout the day. Now, I think with introverts, the key to making that work long-term is just compartmentalizing it, having some dedicated time during the day when you are available, active, and engaged, if you choose to
probably
be.
First thing in the morning.
Maybe first thing.
Yeah, when you have the high energy.
Exactly. And whatever that is for you.
Not it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and you're thinking that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon I have to do that. That may it
can ruin your morning, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're that much not a fan of it, don't really enjoy it, then get it out of the way first thing in the morning, and then at some point say, like, great, I've had my social time. Now I'm going to shut it off, and I'll come back to it tomorrow morning. And there's a bunch of other stuff that you can do, including just going straight to the social media companies and running ads, right? Facebook ads still work. Craigslist stuff still works. Like, there's a whole bunch of things that still work that are leverageable. But I think for the average agent, they're being pressured to go the Gary Vee route. And that, I think if they understood that only really works for the half the population that's super extroverted like Gary Vee is, they could stop beating themselves up over being the person that it doesn't work for. That's what I see a lot. And that it's a shame to see it. And I've been there. I've been the person that beats myself up for not making that work until I realized why it wasn't working. It's because social media doesn't give me anything back. It gives Gary Vee energy back. He gets energy from being engaged, from creating content. I don't, right?
Yeah.
It's all a drain.